My name is Dmitriy Basistiy. I'm director of the Development Strategy Department of Rubytech company, which has organized jointly with 81 this workshop. And together with me, the workshop is going to be conducted with Dmitriy Tabolich, architect of 81. And in our introductory part, which we are going, after which we will try to answer your questions and tell something in more detail, and then we are going to discuss the spaceships, so-called, which make us determine the main strategic approach in IT and generate ideas. Then our approach to the applied system and make import replacement, and maybe to share this kind of a proto concept for a digital platform of organization, for which we are looking for partners and sponsors with whom we could actually launch that. So I would like to tell beforehand a small joke, and the joke is like this. Goes like this: there is a tour around the museum for a group, and there is a display window, and the tour guide says, this is the skull of Alexander the Great when he was 18, this is his skull when he was 25, and this is his skull when he died. And a guy who's wearing a hat is asking a question: how come you are showing several skulls of the same person? 3 skulls of the same person. Who are you? Asks this tour guide. I'm a person who has a cottage in the countryside. And the guy says, the tour guide says, leave. This lecture is for collective farm members, collective farmers, members of a collective farm. What I was gonna say is that I actually tend to split people into optimists and pessimists. And to a larger extent, our story is for those who are pessimistic. Why? Because pessimists, they have understood that there will be no return to what was before, February 24. So they have grouped together, and they are moving. Sorry, the guy behind the wall is going to finish off, and then I will proceed. So maybe let me grab the mic, and maybe this way you will hear better. So pessimists are scared, and they are right, and think that there will be no return to the past, and they started to move towards this great import replaced far away, and optimists think that SAP is going to come back in a month or 2, but it's still not on the market. But what we are talking about concerns both optimists and pessimists. So the first part is about how we see the major problems that shape today's IT landscape. The other one is about our vision of how, okay, we will yell like the people in the adjacent room. Then Dmitriy Tabolich will share this very interesting approach with the 6 strategies, and in completion of the third part we will share a little bit about our idea of the digital platform. Parallel import. There is such a notion as parallel import, and it is actually confirmed by, or there is a legislative background for it. And actually some people who do not want import replacement, they say that I will tie my hardware, which actually will cost twice as much, but I'm not going to change my architecture, will not change my landscape. In our opinion, this is an dangerous approach. But the hardware, yes, we can say that the hardware, okay, we can purchase it, but there will be problems with servicing it, and also we have actually encountered before the problem that it was hard to launch the hardware, so I don't think we should rely on parallel imports, and if we can buy things which are not tied to the vendor, but it's better to find local analogs. And it works. It works reliably. I mean, the equipment that our customers had as of February 24, it still blinks with green lights, but the high level of service that we can get from the vendor is gone. And there is a concept which is called vendorless, support without vendors. So it's in my opinion, it's to help to make the equipment work with a sledgehammer and swearing, but sometime in addition to the warranty, some warranty period plus is something that we can count on for the equipment, but the lifetime of the Western important equipment is reducing every day, and the clock is ticking, and the pessimists whom I've already mentioned actually say that we should be looking for alternative solutions, and we should change the infrastructure to something that can be replicable and which can be supported during the next steps. The reliability of the machinery which was used by serious corporate structures, colleagues, come to the center. In the center it was best to listen. You can hear everything with the best quality. Of course, the equipment that was quite new as of February 24, it will serve for 5 years and more, but the 5 years they were actually it was actually a period given that there will be patches, updates and qualified support on the vendor side. And the vendorless support without vendors, I think it's a temporary solution. It's a solution to like a keep pulling up your pants until you take a decision to decommission the existing Western equipment. So it's better to look at it pessimistically, and actually 5 years is a very short period. And actually, by means of the efforts of the import replacement competence centers, there is an opinion that there is no alternative to the Western solutions. Let's create something new. Let's create analogs. There is SAP AMP. Let's take the core. Let's put modules that we write ourselves. And it will probably be more functional. It will be more functional SAP, but from our point of view, it's actually not very appropriate, because by repeating, you are always in this catch-up mode, and you will not be able to bring about anything new. You will have to walk the path of the developers who have done it several dozen years ago, and they were not in such a hurry. So probably the best answer is the digital platform about which we are talking, because we are seeing it a prospect. It's this fitness for the current state, because now the most maddest ideas and not the idea of making a replica of what exists, this is something that can actually operate, that can work and solve the problems which we are being faced with. we are conducting a lot of analytical work, and we have started it, no matter how strange it might seem, about a year ago, regardless of or without a connection to the geopolitical situation, and we have shaped this idea, which is called a reference model of the import-replaced IT infrastructure. We have spent about 3 months and the efforts of our 15 experts on it, and there is a picture which we are holding in our hands, whereby we can, for every class, we have about 100 such classes which cover the entire functionality and all the needs of IT infrastructure. We can actually have an idea what solutions are best fit for such classes. We actually have also tested this reference model on one of the cases at one of the highly esteemed banks. There is a booth of this bank not far from here, and we have helped the bank to shape its own target model of import-replaced architecture. And the attractive side of this accelerator was that the bank has accepted our methodology, it has accepted the appraisals and the choice that we have made among the representatives of the same class products. It has actually complemented the specific and general requirements with its own requirements, and as a result, an interesting product has come out. So we started to save this practical experience of import replacement and a palette of import-replaced solutions. So I think we are moving a little bit ahead of our competitors. By the way, I actually forgot to tell you something. And also, based on what we are doing, I propose our clients to move over to the target import-replaced infrastructure jointly. We, IT1 and Rubytech, we are owned by the same group, which in Arena Data, Scalab, and other Picadata and others. So we actually have adapted the Amazon and Gartner approach, which has been developed quite a while ago when AWS has just started, and we needed to provide to the clients, to give the clients flexible methodologies for the transition to working on a cloud platform, and that was then called by Gartner 6R, and it's actually based on 6 strategies which can be applied to any applied system when you move over to the cloud technologies. But Dmitriy Tabolich has put forward a great idea that those strategies can be applied to any system which is being analyzed as far as what can be done with it due to the circumstances that have emerged. And he will actually, after a few slides that I show, he will share it with you in his presentation. And I have already mentioned that there is such a moment when we have to actually make this kind of a turn, and we are not going to be able to achieve with the existing solutions the required stability, quality, and sustainability of performance. So it's better to take some new, great, maybe a little bit crazy ideas and maybe develop them conceptually from scratch and use the technologies which have been already accepted by the market. It's actually Russian, local-made technologies, and that probably will be our asymmetrical reply. And I'm not young, and when Reagan spoke about his strategic defense initiative and SDI, which was thereafter dubbed Star Wars, the currently passed away Mr. Gorbachev said that we will give an asymmetrical answer, and I just started to study at Moscow Aviation Institute the space the astronaut department of Moscow Aviation Institute, and with my academic supervisor we were discussing this kind of asymmetric reply, whether it's space lasers or something, and he said, Dmitry, one of the options is that we can launch a satellite with a container in which there are nuts and bolts, and if we shake it when it's open, maybe the nuts and bolts will fly around and shoot down some of them American satellites. So it's actually an answer to some of the things that I have mentioned. So I'm actually giving floor to Mr. Tabolich, and he can share about 6R. Thank you, Vadim. Thank you, Dmitry. And I will try to sort of bring it down to the actual toolkit, all the theoretical discussions that Dmitry has shared. If we're talking about the migration and upgrading of the IT landscape, actually import replacement is actually a trigger or driver, and IT systems that we are talking about, they have become legacy. For example, the license can run out or technology can become obsolete, and in our case the sanction risks have emerged, so it's a kind of a legacy migration, and we have done this legacy migration, IT1 and Rubytech, on various levels. It can be upgrading of the infrastructure, upgrading of the existing systems, and we have now approached the moment when, in the framework of the development plan of an organization, to some extent the technology-independent program has taken shape, and we can actually take part in it. But if we look at the launching of this program, if we look at it at the process, as if it is a process, then there are some slides. So this framework, it's a part of our target planning. But it's of critical importance to understand the context, and we should start with the auditing of the analysis, where auditing is a quite interesting thing, because there are some risks which emerge in connection with the sanction risks, and if we are talking about the framework as such, actually it's a methodology that has been developed by large companies for the analysis of moving to a cloud. And we have actually formulated for the transfer of the IT landscape in the target state. And again, we can look at it differently. We might say that we understand it, but what's next? But our proposal is built on something different. We actually wanna help you. We have a certain set of tactics for the implementation, and we are prepared to help the implementation. So briefly, there are two extreme things that I would like to share. First of all, the scale of the modernization. The first one is the system that has become subject to some risk, and what to do with this risk. Actually, on the one hand, retaining strategy is to leave it as is, so doing nothing. But if we leave the current system here and now, speaking about the transaction data which is being generated by the system, it's your property, and the protection of that data and their archiving or copying or some kind of a list of procedures or measures which need to be taken, those are the activities which need to be made. So, but we are talking about the import replacement context, because even if we have a valid license, like Dmitry said in the beginning, it's not going to take place in the beginning, so we can leave it, but we cannot provide for this stability from the business point of view in the future for the new system, so it is of critical importance. Decommissioning means that you can turn it off, but Actually, this decommissioning is quite a comprehensive process, and it's connected with the integration with other systems. It's copying, archiving of the data, and as a result of the analysis of a specific system, we can also here come to the conclusion that decommissioning would probably be a way out, but then we should actually work on a plan of actions to make it as seamless as possible and make the risks as small as possible. Then rehosting, which is a individual case of changing the infrastructure. If for some reason the infrastructure has become exposed to a risk, then we can consider an alternative. And there is also replacement of the solutions. And, for example, replacement to a similar solution. And the tactic or the toolkit that we have, it's a matrix. It's actually a shop window, a showcase of our solutions. It's a verified list, and when we choose those targeted solutions, we can select it as a toolkit in order to jointly develop without dramatically changing the functionality to try to move. So from the point of view of the most comprehensive strategy that we can find around is the upgrading of the infrastructure. Actually, the faith in microservice, actually we can change everything based on microservices. So if we take IP as an example, in the case of a deep analysis, but when the analysis is performed, it's done in the framework of the set of functions that the customer is performing. And when we analyze the majority of the possibilities that the platform has to offer, we can find a list of scenarios which will serve the business requirements to the targeted architecture. And by analyzing the functional requirements to the development of the architecture, we can propose a solution. And the platform solution, which Dmitry will be describing, it will actually be your development on all levels. And then the refactoring, it depends on the type of the system, and sometimes it is sufficient without changing the system, without taking it out of operation by expansion on the level of the code, a deeper modernization. We can change it in order to provide for its sovereignty, but what then? So, but what to do? And coming back to the previous slide, we are not resting with targeted planning, but we don't slinger on the targeted consulting, but we help you to determine the strategy. We are helping you to use the best practice in the industry and the accumulated experience. And there is also a step number 4. And so when the upgrading program finishes, on the one hand, we have mitigated the risks, but the world of the technologies and the context is changing around us. And the post-service that we can propose is actually the involvement of the projects, not just technical support, but we can trace what is happening, and it's not you coming to us, but we can proactively help you determine the risks and launch the cycle anew. So that's the idea. And if there are any questions, we can actually talk about it in more detail. And besides, the last several slides, you can either go and on a coffee break, or we can actually continue and discuss the idea about the industrial platforms. We had a request from one esteemed company from petrochemical sector that actually wanted to receive from an unlimited number of sources proposals for corporate data processing center, and it seemed to us that this task is a little bit dull. It reminded everything that was done by Rubytech and IBS, and so it's a task that has been living for about 2 years. The customer doesn't actually understand what he wants, so we came to the customer and said it's just a corporate data processing center is too dull. Of course we could calculate, but we can calculate how many racks we need to install in each point, because it's the time when you have a headache about related to what to purchase, what to develop, how to provide for a functional IT landscape, at least somewhat, which would be at least something similar to what was there before. Maybe we can start talking with you about a platform, and this platform which can be reused for the entire sector. You will become a leader in the import replacement. You can actually lead your sectoral colleagues, still remaining an exclusive player, because the customer was not prepared, but of course, the customer said that, it's difficult. I will never make an agreement with all these rascals. And the customer said that, okay, we like this idea, but I like it from the point of view that it's not a very complex idea technologically. It's actually easy to formulate it, and everybody started to develop the software to fine-tune and elaborate, and the Ministry of Digital Development actually every sector has stated that what kind of software needs to be updated or adjusted, and some people want one thing, some want other thing to become as SAP, Schlumberger, or some other analog of other brands. So what we actually have included in the key principles of building this platform, it's actually 4 very simple principles that inside the platform there should be a set of integration mechanism. A little bit further away there will be a full set of the technologies and solutions which we consider a part of the platform, and to that principle also belong the technologies which we identified as integration in the industrial internet, and whatever is in the platform should meet the requirement of a high level of automation. So the smart equipment and business applications actually need to be quite effective, and of course, if there is a demand for such equipment, for smart equipment, then we will have some of that equipment present, and if it doesn't appear, then we will keep talking about how well Huawei can make it. Also, the auditing of the properties of the system, which belongs to the data of integration and cybersecurity. And by the way, as I was talking to a client, actually the security issue was actually very definitely raised. Now the 4th principle is that all means of all technologies should be present in that platform, the monitoring and the respective digital models. So a full set of the concepts of the solutions that we relate to the digital platforms should be present there. Business applications, digital environment, smart equipment, industrial internet and other things. We actually want this concept to be upgraded, to be fine-tuned and developed jointly with our colleagues from the industries. It's not just that we want to create a joint JV with some of the sectoral leaders. Some may have business knowledge about how the sectors are working, some may have knowledge about systems are developed in order to create such a platform. But this interesting slide actually demonstrates that we are seeing an infrastructural essence of the company built on cloud solutions. In spite of all the opposition and all the work of the cybersecurity, and actually quite a restrained attitude to moving over to the cloud of the corporate systems. In the best case, it's some testing, development, developer environment, and sometimes if the security department agrees, then we can just move over backups. But we actually are seeing the four pillars. It's like a chair with three legs is more solidly positioned than a table with four legs. It's a public trusted cloud, and actually those clients who will be willing to work with this kind of a platform will have systems which belong to the class of the critical information infrastructure facilities, because we're talking about serious customers in serious sectors, and we are dreaming about having a corporate cloud. And jointly with the previous component, with the previous pillar, it will create a hybrid cloud, about which a lot is being said, but the concept is still alive. It's being discussed. There is some future which belongs to it, and the three pillars, the appliances, the hardware and software complex. There are samples of technology in the West, the so-called cloud appliances. It's something that's located on the industrial sites, and they are mini clouds for those sites. They have a connection with a big industrial cloud, and we called it an automation set. And this cloud appliance actually is not a solid term, and the end device is something that the actual production needs. It's a set of sensors and different mechanical different machines, etc. And also from the previous slide, there are technology solutions and concepts which are related to what pillars they will be placed on. For example, custom-made solutions by the company. I think they should be located both in the public cloud and the corporate cloud, and, like I said, also in the cloud appliances, the localized clouds. So the virtual workstations can be in the automation sets, etc. So AT1 or Dmitry personally, we are moving towards making more transparent, more accessible and more understandable our concept, and we have actually done something like that. We have selected the core things to be understood, but we have agreed that we need to put together something unified, something standard, and then whether it will become a retail platform or industrial platform or any other platform. So these are some technologies which will probably be used in other sectors. Thank you very much, dear colleagues, and our marketing was very concerned that you would not come. So on behalf of myself and on behalf of our marketing department, I would like to thank you very much. If there are any questions, Dmitry and I will be happy to answer. I would like to find out, you have outlined a new concept, but I would like to understand, do you have already the elements on this platform available? Can you supply some kind of base on which you will be able to build it? Like I said, in general, this idea grew from a tender to which we have proposed something as a consortium, as like a kind of organization, ourselves, AT1, Yandex Cloud, our strategic partner, Accenture, and Center for Digital Technologies. And one of the things that we wanted to actually direct to the customer is that our consortium has the bulk of the solutions which we can actually put together in the platform, and they are quite realistic. So from Rubytech we have like a Scala, Rock as a virtualization medium, and Accenix has knowledge of business specifics, and our other partners know a lot about industrial internet, IoT, etc. So when it comes to the platform level, sometimes we are getting into the microservices and it's working with Java and other systems. But sometimes there are difficulties. So if you are asking whether we can already install something now, actually we have some candidate platforms which can be used. Actually, cloud native is something that's very scary, seems very scary, but inflected cybernetics, Docker, and certain models for the development and of the applications. So there are media that are not used by the big clients when try to actually test the applied solutions, and so cybernetics, Docker and other models can be used, and on their basis we can do some it's like a democratization of cloud native solutions, cloud native proposals. Any further questions? Any comments? Thank you very much. I wish you all good day, and since we have actually entertained you for the 40 minutes that have been allocated for us, and goodbye.